Hello and welcome to Who It Could Have Been, where every week we take a look at a famous actor or actress who was up for a big role, but for one reason or another, they didn't quite get it, whether they've been better, worse, or just plain weird. Joining us tonight is Amanda Lopiccolo. She'll be talking a little bit about her favorite character, Batman. She's seen every single Batman movie ever made. And well, I'm actually joking aside, I'm actually kind of interested because you're not a big Batman fan.
It's not that I'm not a fan. I'm just movies take way too much attention that I do not have.
You'd rather focus on music.
Yes, and the occasional TV show because it's a little shorter.
Well, I'm so interested in your perspective. Tonight we'll be talking about Tim Burton's 1989 Batman. It's celebrating its 30th anniversary. And this week, in an interview with Sci-Fi Wire, one of the film's original screenwriters, Sam Hamm, discussed his work on the film and revealed that before Michael Keaton took on the role of Bruce Wayne or Batman, the higher-ups at Warner Brothers considered several options. And I'm not kidding, one of them was Steven Seagal. Ooh. Steven Seagal as Bruce Wayne and or Batman. He had just broken in. He had done Above the Law, which was his only film prior to Batman, FYI. Just one film. Seagal was one of the people that was suggested to us. He had just kind of appeared on the scene. People thought, holy cow, this guy's badass. He could be Batman. I don't think it ever got to the point where he read for it. He was just one of the names that was floated, including Harrison Ford, who Amanda's dog is named after.
Yes.
What do you guys think about Steven Seagal playing Batman? I'm going to go to you, TJ.
So when you said the name, I immediately made a face. And the reason that I made a face was because I was like, really? Really? I mean, okay, so I come from, I'm a product of the 80s. My grandmother loved all those cheesy action movies. Death Wish and you know, Bloodsport. Bloodsport was that shit. But I'm trying to imagine Steven Seagal because he's this stiff dude, and I mean, I guess Batman doesn't necessarily move that much whenever he's kicking names and taking ass.
In Tim Burton's Batman, he couldn't even move his neck because of the costumes.
Right. So I'm not the hugest Steven Seagal fan. My favorite Steven Seagal movie was Executive Decision, and he died in the first 15 minutes.
Is that why that's your favorite?
I mean, it has a lot to do with it.
I can sense your seething love for this actor beneath all the contempt. But
I'm throwing salt on all the wounds, bro.
Now, Amanda, you've seen The Dark Knight at the very least. So with that in mind, can you imagine Steven Seagal under the cowl?
I honestly cannot, but from a production standpoint, I suppose it makes sense that they would want him just because he couldn't be typecasted at that point. You know, so he didn't really have that much under his belt. There wasn't really much that he was sticking to at the time, but at the same time, that would have been a terrible idea.
Well, you know, I have to give it to them. I mean, when they were trying to cast Batman, going for the up-and-coming action star as opposed to the comedian that was Michael Keaton, it just seemed much more of a logical idea for them to go in that direction. Obviously, it worked out very, very well with Michael Keaton. The biggest problem I have with Steven Seagal, despite, you know, let's take his acting range, quote unquote, out of the picture.
He doesn't have much range, bro.
Exactly, and just look at him. Under the mask. Okay, I mean, I can kind of buy it, but as Bruce Wayne, that's where I kind of draw the line. I can't look at this guy and he doesn't have this unassuming presence. I look at this guy, I'm like, he could be. He looks like a guy that could beat up an entire army. At least that's the way he presents himself. So I couldn't buy him as Bruce Wayne. Michael Keaton. The fact that he's a comedian in real life and the fact that he does look very unassuming sells that duality within that character. I can see why people wouldn't quite necessarily jump to the conclusion that this guy is Batman.
when I look at Steven Seagal, like, I don't know how tall he actually is, but he looks like he's about 6'6". So, you got that coming in, off the bat. I don't know that if Steven Seagal gets that role, I don't know if Batman becomes what Batman, became, because you're talking Batman then after the Joker, which obviously everybody loves Jack Nicholson's Joker in that film. After that, you had Catwoman and the Penguin. Michael Keaton came back. But I don't know if we're seeing the longevity of Batman. Now, granted, it's a DC comic, and they're always gonna bring it back. We've seen 15 different Supermen since Christopher Reeves held it down. But I'm just saying, Steven Seagal, because I can't say he can't act, because I am not a professional actor, so I can't talk trash. But what I will say is, I would not pay money to see that man on screen.
I feel like you're a little biased here, though, because you definitely do not like him.
No. There are a lot of people that I won't pay money to see. He's just the person that we're talking about right now.
It's one of those things where you really have to be careful about the role that you're taking on. There are some people who can play an infinite amount of roles and they can change themselves to fit that role. But there are some people who are, like I said, typecasted. They can only do one thing. That's just their specialty, and they don't really venture out of it.
The funny thing about Steven Seagal is he has his physicality. Obviously, I mean, he was a very popular star in his time because of that reason. He looks like he could beat somebody up. When you have an actor like that, you want to see them being the ones doing so. Hiding him behind the costume, where essentially that's where the stunt team takes over, it'd be like taking Jackie Chan and covering up his entire body in a movie. It takes away from that appeal to a degree. And EJ, just to back up your point, Steven Seagal is actually 5'2".
Wow.
Yeah, he was standing on a no, I'm kidding. He's 6'4".
I was about to say, bro, you blowing smoke right now, man. You said, I was like, what? And can we imagine Bruce Wayne with that ponytail? Because I mean, Steven Seagal always has the ponytail.
Hey, it wouldn't have been the Batman that we know.
He'd have the ponytail sticking out the side of the mask,
and then somebody would have said Bruce, and then that's it. Movie's over. Batman's identity has been revealed. It's a wrap.
No, he wasn't wearing the cape. That was his hair the whole time.
I mean, Could you imagine, though, if he did become Batman? I mean, think about the way that we would think about Batman now. It would be a lot different than the way that we are thinking about it. I mean, you're always going to look at the classic comics, like the comics. So there would have been some type of difference, but live action, the first live action really gets you going. It really gives you that real life look at the character that you've been in love with or following since you were a kid or for however long. So
I kind of think back to, you have to remember that Tim Burton has a draw to certain types of actors that have a weird flex to them and their performances, such as Michael Keaton, Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter. Basically, three people, they ever walked into a room and they were wearing eyeshadow, you'd want to run away. Steven Seagal, I just see him being much more. I think that his attempts to try to be more enigmatic would just come off as more wooden, if anything. He'd have to be much more subdued to be believable, and it wouldn't work in that movie.
I'll put this out there for you all so that I can go ahead and ruin the whole concept of a multiverse for all of you. In another universe, Steven Seagal is Batman and Nicolas Cage is Superman. I'll leave that right there.
Oh my gosh.
You joke about that, but Batman vs. Superman would have been a lot more entertaining.
you said, I mean, yeah, because what we got wasn't necessarily the greatest one, and I liked the choice for Superman, just not so much Batman. You know what? Steven Seagal, Ben Affleck, put them both in the garbage bin and take them down, man. I wasn't a fan of Ben Affleck as Batman either. I forgot he even did it for a second. People don't care anymore. They'll buy anything.
I don't know. I think it's about just Hollywood and the type of publicity you get.
Celebrity name power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially with all these social media apps going around. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's not necessarily about what's best for the movie anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah, if it was about what's best, I would have been cast years ago.
It's time. It's time, TJ. It's time to get representation as Bat. We need black Batman, damn it.
You're
Absolutely.
damn right. Black man.
I'd love to see how the internet would respond to this retitling.
They wouldn't respond very well because I can already see the memes coming out. Black man's arch nemesis is the police.
Oh, no.
If nothing, I'm consistent. You know that.
I can't, I give you credit for that. I give you credit.